Have you ever felt, even as an adult, standing firmly in life, that you still hear a familiar voice echoing in your mind whenever you make an important decision? A voice that might be your mother's, gentle or stern, or sometimes a harsh version of yourself, causing you to hesitate, doubt yourself, or feel an invisible pressure. That familiar voice you sometimes hear, the one that can uplift you but also make you question yourself, is one of the manifestations of what we call the invisible voice within each of us. And one of the deepest, most powerful sources of that voice often stems from what the renowned psychologist Carl Jung called the mother complex, or, as we might tentatively translate it, the complex about mother. So, what exactly is the mother complex? Don't rush to imagine it as merely the happy or sad memories, the conflicts, or the difficult relationship with the flesh and blood mother that many of us may have experienced. Jung's concept is far deeper and more encompassing. Think of the mother complex as a powerful cluster of emotional energy, a collection of thoughts, feelings, memories, and images hidden and operating within our unconscious. It's important to note that this psychic complex is not solely forged from personal experiences, real interactions, or the deeply private emotional imprints you have with your biological mother or the primary caregiver in your early years. Rather, it is also woven from archetypal images, expectations, and universal patterns of the mother. These are images of the nurturing mother, the sacrificing mother, the protective mother, or even the powerful mother. Figures that society, culture, fairy tales, lullabies, and more have inadvertently or deliberately planted in our minds since childhood. You might wonder, why is recognizing the mother complex, or this invisible voice, so crucial? Because whether we are conscious of its existence or not, it quietly yet powerfully influences our entire lives. It shapes how you perceive yourself. Do you feel good enough, worthy of love? Are you confident in your abilities? It seeps into how you build and maintain relationships. Do you easily trust others, or do you carry a vague fear of abandonment, control, or repeating unhealthy patterns? It can even affect your choice of partner, sometimes unconsciously drawing you to people who evoke familiar feelings from your relationship with your mother, whether positive or negative. And, of course, it also significantly impacts the decisions, goals, and aspirations you pursue in your career and life, potentially empowering you or, conversely, holding you back with invisible barriers and fears. The journey we are about to embark on together is not intended to judge, blame anyone, or unnecessarily reopen old wounds. This is a meaningful and necessary journey of self-discovery. It is an opportunity for us to gently lift the veil of the unconscious, to listen to and understand those invisible voices, especially those related to the mother complex. Because only by understanding their origins and how they operate can we find the path to healing, inner reconciliation, and ultimately, true liberation. Liberation to live a fuller, freer, and more authentic life, true to our own selves. After identifying the invisible voice and the concept of the mother complex, let us take a step further back to explore one of the foundations that shape it, the mother archetype, the ancient, powerful, and multifaceted image deeply embedded in the psyche of each of us and of humanity as a whole. Do you remember the story from Greek mythology where the goddess Demeter, mother of Persephone, reacted when her beloved daughter was abducted by Hades, the king of the underworld? She didn't just grieve and search in vain. Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, caused the entire earth to become barren, trees to stop blooming and bearing fruit, and humanity to plunge into hunger and cold, until her daughter was returned. What does Demeter's action reflect about the boundless creative power, yet also the terrifying destructive potential of a mother when she is wounded? And when we look at Vietnamese culture, with the image of the mother who lies on the wet spot so the child can have the dry one, ready to sacrifice everything for her child, are there similarities or differences with this primal, universal power? According to Carl Jung, the mother archetype is one of the most fundamental archetypes, existing within what he called the collective unconscious of humanity. It is a universal image that transcends all cultural and geographical boundaries, symbolizing nurturing, protection, and shelter. She is the endless source of life, the nurturing Earth Mother, the embodiment of creativity, compassion, and unconditional love. This is the radiant, warm aspect we often celebrate. However, like all archetypes, the mother archetype also has its opposing facets, shadow sides that must be acknowledged. These can manifest as suffocating control or the imposition of will under the guise of love. It can be the overprotection that stifles a child's growth, preventing them from developing independence and autonomy. And at times, on the other extreme, it can even take the form of the devouring mother, a mother who, due to her own unmet needs, unintentionally consumes her child's space, dreams, and even their sense of self. To better understand this multifaceted nature, let us examine how the mother archetype manifests across different cultures. In Western culture, the story of Demeter and Persephone serves as a quintessential example. Demeter is not merely a gentle, loving mother searching for her child. She is also a powerful goddess capable of bringing the world to its knees through her pain and wrath. She both bestows life and can retract it, illustrating the immense power, both creative and destructive, that is inherently tied to the image of the mother. Despite varying manifestations through cultural lenses, the core of the mother archetype retains universal traits. The differences typically lie in which aspects of this archetype each culture emphasizes or prioritizes. Importantly, the mother archetype does not merely exist in myths or fairy tales. It is vividly present in our daily lives. It permeates societal expectations of what a good mother should be and what a dutiful child must do. It also shapes the image of the ideal mother in each person's mind, a model we may unconsciously compare to our own mothers or impose upon ourselves when we become parents. It is the interplay between personal experiences with our actual mothers and these archetypal expectations that contributes to the formation of the mother complex we discussed earlier. Understanding the mother archetype, its origins and multifaceted nature, is a crucial step in clearly recognizing its influence on our own psychology and behavior. From there, it opens the path to delve deeper into the shadow mother, a more specific aspect of these influences. We have journeyed together through the mother archetype, exploring its vast diversity and power, from the radiant light of nurturing to the hidden shadows of control. Now, let us delve deeper into a specific aspect, a part of the mother complex that often carries invisible burdens, the shadow mother. Imagine Anna, a successful lawyer in Berlin. She has it all, career, recognition. But deep inside, Anna always feels she's not good enough, always fearing that one day people will discover she's not as talented as they think. Or consider Mai, an office worker in Hanoi, who constantly tries to please everyone, especially her mother. She finds it incredibly difficult to say no to her mother's requests, even when they conflict with her own desires, and she is always haunted by a vague sense of guilt. Could it be that the shadow mother, an image woven from unspoken expectations, subtle criticisms, unintentional comparisons, or even the weight of a mother's immense sacrifices, is invisibly shaping their lives and perhaps ours as well? So, what exactly is the shadow mother? It is the hidden, often negative, part of the mother image we carry within our psyche. That a shadow mother does not necessarily imply that our biological mother is a bad person. Rather, it can be formed from traumas, shortcomings, or unhealthy interactions in the relationship with our biological mother or primary caregiver. Or from the way we absorb and internalize the negative aspects, the shadow sides of the mother archetype we discussed earlier, even if our biological mother does not fully embody them. When this shadow mother becomes powerful in the unconscious, it sows within us a persistent self-doubt, inexplicable guilt, and feelings of inferiority or smallness. It activates fears of failure, judgment, and not being loved. It can create a tremendous internal pressure, urging us to strive for perfection, to constantly please others, or to repay in a way that leaves us feeling exhausted. Perhaps the most common manifestation of the shadow mother is the relentless inner critic, always finding fault and undermining your self-worth. To illustrate this more clearly, let's return to the stories of Anna and Mai. For Anna, her shadow mother may have been shaped by her mother's high expectations and rare praise, despite her love. Every achievement Anna made was met as if it were expected, followed immediately by a higher goal to reach. Gradually, Anna internalized that demanding voice, and it became the shadow mother, whispering, "You're still not enough, you must try harder," leaving her perpetually dissatisfied with herself. For Mai, the shadow mother, takes a different form. Mai's mother may have sacrificed greatly for the family and frequently, whether unintentionally or deliberately, recounted her struggles and unfulfilled dreams, placing all her hopes on Mai as her only comfort. Phrases like, "I only want what's best for you," or "You are everything to me," can sometimes become chains that bind Mai. Her shadow mother is not so much about criticism but rather the weight of love and duty, making Mai feel guilty if she wants to live her own life, fearing she will disappoint her mother or be seen as unfilial or selfish. These stories may not perfectly mirror your own experiences, but they reveal something crucial. The shadow mother can take many forms, subtle and complex. Now, take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, do you often hear an inner voice that criticizes or judges you? Do you feel the need to constantly strive to be good enough in the eyes of others, especially loved ones? Do you carry a vague fear that if you don't please others, you won't be loved or will be abandoned? Or do you feel an inexplicable guilt, an invisible burden, when you want to make choices that differ from your family's expectations or when you long to live a freer life on your own terms? If any of these questions resonate with you, it's possible that the shadow mother is present and exerting a certain influence on your life. Recognizing it is not about sinking into negativity. Rather, it is the first and most important step toward understanding and gradually transforming it. After identifying the shadow mother and the invisible burdens it can bring, we will together explore in greater depth the specific impacts of the mother complex on our daily lives, our choices, and our emotions. These are psychological ties that, though intangible, wield immense power over us. Let's look at the world. In Stockholm, Sweden, a society that values individualism and independence, many young people still struggle to establish healthy boundaries with their mothers, feeling pressure to meet subtle emotional expectations. Similarly, in many Vietnamese families, adult children, even those with their own families, still feel indebted to their parents and find it difficult to make important decisions independently for fear of being seen as unfilial or thoughtless. What does this say about the persistent power of the mother complex and how it interacts with the specific cultural pressures in each place? Although the manifestations may differ, the influences of the mother complex often revolve around a few key themes in our psychological lives. 1. First, there is the feeling of guilt when wanting to live one's own life and pursue personal passions. You have a dream, a cherished plan, but when you're about to act on it, an inner voice, or even external words and looks, makes you feel selfish, as if you're betraying your mother's or family's expectations or sacrifices. 2. Next, there is the difficulty in establishing and maintaining healthy personal boundaries. This means it's hard for you to say no to your mother's requests or those who remind you of her, even when they are unreasonable or negatively affect you. The boundaries between your life and your mother's life become blurred, making you feel suffocated and lacking freedom. A typical example: a mother frequently interferes in her adult child's romantic relationships, parenting methods, or even personal financial decisions, and the child feels powerless, not daring to resist for fear of upsetting their mother. 3. Another very common manifestation is the repetition of negative patterns in romantic relationships. You might unconsciously choose partners who have personality traits or behaviors similar to your mother or father, people who are controlling, dependent, or critical. Or, conversely, you might choose partners who are the complete opposite in an extreme way, as a form of rebellion, but in reality, you are still being influenced by the old patterns. A typical example: a girl with a very authoritarian mother may, as an adult, be easily attracted to patriarchal, controlling men, or conversely, a boy with an overprotective mother may, when grown up, seek out partners who are strong and decisive, making decisions for him in everything. 4. It is also the constant pressure to meet invisible expectations. These expectations may never be clearly spoken out loud, but you sense them from the inner mother, the image of the ideal or demanding mother that you carry within yourself. You always strive to be the good child, the successful person, or the useful person according to some standard you believe will please your mother. 5. Finally, it is the difficulty in identifying and expressing your true emotions. Because you fear displeasing others, being rejected, or not being accepted, you learn to hide and suppress your real feelings: anger, sadness, disappointment. Over time, you may lose connection with your own emotions, not knowing what you truly want or need. Additional context: these psychological ties do not exist in isolation. They are deeply influenced by the cultural context in which we grow up. In Western cultures, such as in Europe, individualism and early independence are highly valued. Children are often encouraged to move out and make their own life decisions. However, this does not mean there are no psychological ties. The mother complex can still manifest through feelings of guilt for not meeting the mother's emotional needs in her old age, or the pressure to maintain an image of a happy family even when there are underlying fractures. In this context, the narrator continues, the process of individuation, that is, the process of separating to recognize and become one's true self, often becomes extremely difficult. The desire to live differently, to have personal choices, is sometimes easily labeled as selfish, not thinking of the family, or the egg thinks it's smarter than the duck. This makes many people feel trapped between their own desires and aspirations on one side and their responsibilities and duties to their family and parents on the other. It is truly a painful internal struggle. Recognizing these influences, these psychological ties, no matter how subtle or powerful they may be, is the first step for us to begin the journey of unraveling them. Because only by clearly understanding what we are bound by can we find the key to liberate ourselves. After we have together gone through the recognition of the mother complex, the mother archetype, the shadow mother, and their profound impacts on our lives, perhaps the biggest question now is, how can you recognize and gently untie the invisible threads of the mother complex, not only to heal yourself but also to break the chain of pain that can be passed from generation to generation? And does this journey require patience, self-compassion, and perhaps even professional support? The first important thing to affirm is that the journey to heal the mother complex is not about blaming the mother or anyone else. This is not a search for a villain in one's life story. Instead, it is an inward journey, a process of deeply understanding oneself, recognizing the patterns that have been formed, and gradually freeing oneself from burdens that are no longer suitable. The ultimate goal is inner freedom and the ability to live a fuller life. This journey may include the following important steps. 1. Recognition. This is the first step, requiring courage to look directly at the shadow mother within you. This means allowing yourself to acknowledge the wounds that may have been there, the negative emotions such as anger, sadness, fear, or guilt that you have carried, all of those without judging yourself for having those feelings. Remember that every emotion has a reason to exist. 2. Differentiation. A crucial step is learning to distinguish between your real mother, personal mother, and the inner mother image or mother complex that you have built in your mind. Your mother is a flesh and blood human being with her strengths, weaknesses, limitations, and possibly her own wounds. The inner mother is a psychological structure within you, formed from personal experiences, cultural expectations, and archetypal elements. This differentiation helps you see your mother more realistically and focus on healing what belongs to your inner world. Dialogue and understanding. After recognizing and differentiating, try to gradually engage in dialogue with these inner parts. This could be the wounded inner child or the critical voice of the shadow mother. Explore what these parts want to tell you, where they come from, and what unmet needs they carry. This is a process of listening to yourself with curiosity and compassion, acceptance and integration. Healing does not mean erasing the past but learning to accept it, accepting the imperfect parts of yourself and the less than ideal experiences. From this acceptance, you can draw valuable lessons and integrate these new insights to become stronger, more whole, and no longer unconsciously controlled by the past. This healing journey not only helps you release burdens but also paves the way for a deeper process of growth, which Carl Jung called individuation. Individuation. Individuation is a natural process, an inner urge toward becoming the most complete, unique, and authentic version of yourself. It is the journey of rediscovering your true self, separating from the unconscious impositions of family, rigid cultural patterns, and societal expectations. The goal of individuation is to achieve inner balance, live in harmony with yourself, and find your own meaning in life. Practical steps for the journey. So, what can we do specifically to embark on this journey? Here are some practical suggestions. Emotional journaling. Dedicate time each day or week to write down your thoughts, feelings, memories, and dreams, especially those related to your mother and the mother image within you. This is an excellent way to explore your inner world and identify recurring patterns. Active imagination practice. This is a Jungian technique that helps you create a safe mental space to consciously dialogue with inner figures, such as the inner mother or the wounded child within. Through this dialogue, you can better understand their needs and find ways to reconcile. To read more, explore books and articles on Jungian psychology, the mother complex, and healing childhood wounds. Knowledge will provide you with additional tools and insights for your journey. You are not alone on this journey. Consider joining support groups or communities, if available, where you can share your story and learn from others in a safe, non-judgmental environment. And most importantly, do not hesitate to seek guidance from psychologists or therapists if you feel overwhelmed, stuck, or if the wounds are too deep and complex. Healing the mother complex is a process that may require much time, patience, and great self-compassion. Sometimes, professional guidance from a specialist will help you navigate this journey more safely, effectively, and deeply. This is not a sign of weakness but a manifestation of your respect and commitment to your own mental health. The journey of rediscovering oneself, healing emotional wounds, and striving for wholeness is a priceless gift you can give yourself. It demands courage and perseverance, but the reward is a life of greater freedom, meaning, and peace. We have journeyed together through a meaningful exploration, from recognizing the invisible voice and the mother complex, understanding the multifaceted mother archetype, facing the shadow mother, realizing psychological ties, and exploring the path of healing towards individuation. Now, standing at the end of this journey, there is one important thing we want to share. By courageously facing and healing the inner mother complex, you not only free yourself from invisible burdens and old patterns but also gift yourself the priceless treasures of freedom, understanding, and deep compassion. And perhaps, in a quiet yet powerful way, you are contributing to the healing of future generations in your family, breaking the chains of pain that may have been unintentionally passed down. Understanding and healing the mother complex is not just a psychological concept. It is the key to living a much freer, more autonomous, and meaningful life. When inner burdens are released, you will have more space to connect with your true self, to recognize your deepest desires, and to build relationships, not only with your mother but with everyone around you, based on respect, understanding, and genuine love, no longer obscured by past wounds or unrealistic expectations. Therefore, we encourage you, our dear audience, to take some time to deeply reflect on your own mother-child relationship and other significant relationships in your life where you may notice similar influences. If you feel that something is holding you back, that certain patterns are repeating and causing distress, courageously embark on your own healing journey. Remember, this action is not only for your benefit today but also for your future peace and possibly for the happiness of your loved ones and future generations. And to ensure this journey is not a solitary one, we earnestly call on you to take action. If you feel comfortable, share your feelings and personal stories in safe spaces, perhaps with a close friend, a trusted person, or in a supportive community. Listening and being heard are crucial parts of healing. At the same time, actively seek out additional supportive resources, whether through good books, in-depth articles, courses, or the companionship of psychological experts. Every small step on the path of self-discovery and development is incredibly valuable. The journey of exploring and healing the mother complex may not always be easy, but it is one of the most worthwhile investments for your own life. Because when we dare to confront the darkness within, we truly have the opportunity to step into the light of understanding, self-love, and a free, authentic life that awaits. Thank you for joining us.